Hello friends, my name is Brian and this is my channel, This Fantastic Life. In today's episode, we're taking our van on a road trip from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where we live, up to the Vermont area to see the April 8th, 2024 total solar eclipse. I remember going to see the eclipse on August the 21st in 2017, drove down to Tennessee. It was my friend as the eclipse moved from the Pacific Northwest down through the southeastern part of the United States, and I stayed at a friend's house in Tennessee for that eclipse, and it was my first time seeing a total solar eclipse. It was absolutely amazing. We had a nice day, the sun was out, and there was just a few wispy clouds up there, and right before the eclipse the clouds cleared, and as the sun went behind the moon and we went into totality for about 2.5 minutes, we could see the corona and everything went dark. The crickets were chirping, the birds started to calm down, there were dogs barking in the distance. You could feel the temperature cooling off. It was totally one of the top two most experiences of my entire life. The other one being my trip to Hunts Mesa in Monument Valley, which you can see on a former YouTube episode, which I'll link here in the cards. So my wife wasn't able to go along with me on that trip to Tennessee because she had to work. It was during the summer, so I had off. So I really wanted her to experience the eclipse with me this time in 2024. It was also our anniversary weekend. We get married on April 7th, 1990, and so we're celebrating our 34th wedding anniversary. So we took off on Sunday morning, April the 7th, our anniversary, bright and early in the morning. And then we had to find a camp spot. Of course, everything was booked up. And so we looked on our iOverlander app, which usually helps us to find boondocking spots, and it looked like the only good place in that vicinity was a kind Walmart in Ticonderoga, New York. A very small little town on the Hudson River, or Lake Champlain. So we drove up there, asked permission of the manager, and we spent our anniversary in the Walmart parking lot. And we went into the store and got some roses and a small piece of carrot cake, and then we had a nice romantic dinner in the van. We got a good night's sleep there, and then on Monday morning, the day of the eclipse itself, we drove another hour north to Shelburne, Vermont, to a boat launch area that we had seen in a previous trip, and we knew it was a good place to park and see the eclipse around some water. And we were there bright and early in the morning, and the parking lot did fill up by mid-afternoon, and there was no more places by the time the eclipse came. So while we were getting ready for the eclipse, there was a guy that came over and saw us finagling with our tripod, and he asked my wife, he says, he looked at this picture that we have here, and there was an airplane contrail going through just below where the sun was. It was partial at this point in time, and the guy in all sincerity asked her, is that the line? So during a solar eclipse, we have a new moon, which means that the sun and the moon and the earth are all in direct alignment. Okay? And because the shadow side of the moon is facing the earth, we don't see the moon until it gets in front of the sun itself, right? The moon is hidden by the brightness of the sun, and because we're in its shaded side, right? And then the moon fits directly between the sun and the earth, and it's just about the right apparent size from our perspective to cover up the face of the sun. And we can just see that white wispy corona of the outer edges of the sun peeking from around the edges of the moon that's blocking our view. Now, the reason that we don't experience a total solar eclipse every month when we have a new moon is because the plane of orbit of the moon around the earth, it varies. It's not always in the same plane as the sun and the earth are. And so it's only occasionally that we are in the right plane for all three things, the sun, the moon, and the earth, to align just perfectly for us to witness the solar eclipse. And I think that's a good thing because it makes it a rare event, and it makes it all the more special for us to experience. So if you've never seen a total eclipse before, you absolutely have to go to a place of totality. There's nothing like it at all. It's really one of the best experiences of my life to watch this. It's just a complete unique experience, and it's really impossible to describe. You can't do justice with pictures, although I have some photos here from some of my friends and that were other places that took really great pictures of the eclipse, but you really have to experience it for yourself. So what happens, of course, is it gradually gets dim as we go into partiality, and then right before the totality, you'll see this little ring around the outside as the moon comes between the sun and the earth, and we're in the moon's shadow, and you see the beads surrounding the outside of the sun, and the solar flares coming off the sun, and it's just this really white, intense, bright ring around the moon. That is the sun peeking through from behind, and it's like a white that you've never ever seen before. I imagine that this is the way that heaven looks when you hear people that have near-death experiences talk about that white light. This is the way I imagine, just like 100% pure white. And then it goes into darkness, and you can feel the chill as the earth cools off a couple degrees. You can hear the crickets chirping, the birds all settled down, people cheering. It was really fun to see everybody cheering when the eclipse happened. And then after your 3 minutes are up, about 3.5 minutes in this case, then all of a sudden the sun just starts to peer out from behind the moon again, and it just gets bright, like just like that, just like turning on a light in a darkened room. It's just absolutely amazing. You really, really have to experience it. It's a spiritual experience. It really is. You know, I felt like, you know, so close to God during this eclipse, and it's just amazing to think that the appearance of the sun and the moon, from our perspective, they happen to be the same size, just by pure coincidence, or is that the way our Creator designed it? So that we can every so often have this once or twice in a lifetime experience of witnessing a total solar eclipse. We're in totality.
When we think about the total eclipse, I heard a brief story that if you're in the partial zone, it's actually being on a street and looking into a restaurant where you see everyone eating a delicious meal. But when you're there for the totality, you're actually in the restaurant participating in the dinner.
So let me just interrupt this video for a moment to ask you please to click that subscribe button, the van icon in the lower right hand corner of your screen there. I'm really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on my channel. I've been working on this channel for over 3 years now, and I'm only at about 500 subscribers. So if you click that subscribe button, it doesn't cost you anything. You just have to enter an email. It'll take you like 10-15 seconds to do it. It'll really help me out in getting my number of subscribers up and getting my views up, and this will help me to create more content for you in the future. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this video. This was a special experience for me, and I'd again ask you to please click like and subscribe. Until next time, happy travels.